My name's David Morrison. I'm a guitarist, singer and songwriter in the band Danica, and we've been performing since Danica since the early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm Lewis. I play guitar and write songs in Danica as well.
Me and Lewis are both brothers. Um, I was always interested in music at a young age, so always had the charts on the Sunday afternoon like every other kid. And uh, when I was attending the Nicholson Institute, I started attending one of the module courses and did group music making. And I just got really interested in playing guitar after that. So I didn't really go into it as heavy as some other people, but I used it as a vehicle to write songs. And then just as I was going along, I was teaching Lewis, and then Lewis would teach his friends, and then they'd start bands, but Lewis would do a bit more practicing than me and became very proficient in it. He'll tell you more about that himself.
Yeah, so I got into music like pretty much when I was 5, 6. Not playing, but writing. Like writing really, really bad lyrics, as you can imagine a 6-year-old does. And then David showed me a club book sort of catalogue with a few guitars in it when I was 7. And I didn't really know what they were, but became obsessed with them. Just became obsessed with guitars straight away. And then started playing properly when I was 13. David showed me a few chords, and then just bands you like just learning their songs by ear, watching them on TV, learning how they play, and then just started playing in bands straight away. Just really, really bad cover bands, as you can imagine, 13-year-olds playing in, just really, really bad. But then started writing songs properly when I was 14. And then me and David started writing together when I would have been probably 17, he was 21. We started writing songs properly.
Yeah, so I was in the army at the time. So when Lewis would send me cassettes of instrumentals he'd written, and then when I'd come home on leave, I'd already had ideas in my head, and then we'd be just like working together and just starting writing songs. And some of the songs they were just like really
very good.
I thought we were like, oh well, there's something here. Like the both of us writing different sides of a song. And then when we moved to Glasgow in 2002, and Lewis had been 2003, sorry, and Lewis had been in Perth Music College, and we were friends with one of his course mates who was doing. He was a drummer, and another one was a guitarist, and we roped in the guitarist to play bass, and the drummer had moved down to Glasgow as well, so we pretty much formed just after the first meeting there. We had a gig booked before we had even played together. We just rehearsed the day before, and the gig went well. It was really good.
Surprisingly okay. Until the last song. Just right at the end, we got through the entire gig and note perfect. And then on the last chorus, we all messed up at the same time. But we only had like one rehearsal a day before, but we did all right considering like one single rehearsal. It went pretty good. I was happy with it.
Yeah, we could be excused for having a slip up at the end of a gig after 2.5 hours of practice in our lives. So yeah, it went better than we had expected. It was good. So since that first gig, we were playing for a couple of years with the same band. But then as people are getting older and jobs come into play, and then the bassist and the drummer, they had moved to Edinburgh, the bassist, and to Perth, the drummer. So for them having to come through to Glasgow for rehearsals each week, month after month, was getting more difficult for them. Okay, especially as the stresses of just your life come into play. Okay, so we ended up going through a couple of different lineup changes, which was good because it gave us a different sound to the same songs. Initially, it was quite a rock-driven one, but then with lineups going forward, even the same songs, but they just sounded a bit more poppy, just with different drum styles, different bass styles. But the root of it was always the songs me and Lewis had written together.
Well, yeah, I mean, what happened there was, so, like, we were playing in bands, and as much as I love playing gigs and stuff, I hate rehearsing, and I hate the fact that it sounds strange, but I like to, like, record on my own. Like, me and David just record the full song, drums, bass, everything on our own, and then present it to the band, and then they learn from there. But the problem with that is that when other people get involved, it starts changing and becoming a different thing, and I like to have, like, total control over the music, from drums, bass, and everything. So we stopped playing when one of the band members moved to a different city, and didn't do anything for a couple of years. Just like before you knew it, it was a few years later, and then I decided for me and David just to do everything on our own. So we just wanted to record everything, just us two, you know, just as a duo. But really, what I was wanting to do was to get all the songs demoed on our own and write for other people. And because when you do that, you can write loads of different styles of songs. You're not just stuck to one. When you're in a band, you have to stay relatively within one style. You know, whereas we want to do loads of different stuff. So it's like some rock stuff, ballady stuff, electronic music, you know, loads of different stuff. So then about a couple of years ago, I decided, like, well, that's what we want to do. Or we decided that's what we want to do. not I decided, we decided. And then, so from there, we just started making demos on our own again, and then sent a few off, and then Centric Music got involved. Like, they heard one of the songs, send them a demo, it takes them about a couple of weeks to, like, listen, get back to you, and they were really, really into it. And so they were saying, yeah, we'll publish a song for you. And then so they register that, and some like 150 territories around the world, music territories. We got in a girl called Laura Killen, who's a fantastic singer, because the song we recorded at the time just suited more of a female voice. And so the guy who recorded it was really, really good. And so we ended up just thinking, well, this is releasable quality in itself. So it's like, it was very, very professionally done, the guys who recorded it in the studio. So it's like, well, we could just release this ourselves, so long as we got the publishing for it. And so that's where we are now, just getting it all released and getting it out there. Frozen in Time is the song, Danica.
Yeah, from the demos we had done originally for it, it sounded like quite a rock song. But her vocal on the track is just amazing, and just puts an absolute different perspective in it. Yeah. It's just like one of these songs, you know, like you'd want on a soundtrack of a movie. It's just, I don't know, the chorus is just, it's really memorable and uplifting. So
it's a really, really catchy standout chorus. It is the kind of thing you'd hear in like a film or something like that. You know, it's when you get used to get these songs that go to like #1 for like 8 weeks and stuff like that. It's just one of these sort of ballady type songs, but really catchy.
There was lots of times, you know, like you might have a song and it's half finished, and then you just quite never get round to that second chorus. But Lockdown, you had plenty of time sitting about just to spend time and just finish off, and even just touch up songs that you had finished and you thought were finished. Then you could just re-record them and just improve on them. So yeah, Lockdown was good in that respect. You certainly had the time just to put into your songwriting. And Lewis had pretty much built a home studio upstairs. And there's just a small room upstairs. We can use that to put the vocals down, and all the instruments are here anyway. So you didn't need to be going out to a rehearsal room and having to traipse all your gear all over the place. It's just whenever you want to, just, I've got an idea. Everything's all set up in Lewis's little studio upstairs, so it's absolutely
and I mean, we kept everything ourselves, which we wanted to do from the start. Like me and David, we wanted to have total control over exactly how the songs start, how it's written, how everything's played. It's hard to do that in a band, you know, because probably other people want to, like, you know, put in their bit, but which is good. Sometimes it's great, sometimes not so great. So we just wanted to do everything ourselves.
It's easier when you've got the idea in your head, but it's harder when you're trying to explain that to other people, and for them just to suit the emotion. Sometimes you'll write the song and the drummer will be playing it in a different style than you would have been expecting.
Yeah, it's like
it takes time to get everyone sort of like singing off the same hymn sheet.
Everyone's butting heads, you know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah,
just want to do this ourselves. Like we hire a singer, hire a drummer, and usually they do what you recorded, what you record in the demo. That's what they do. They just play exactly what you wrote. So it's good to do it just ourselves. And then, but yeah, the main thing is like we want to get songs, as many songs out there in different kinds of genres as we can.
Yeah.
So to do, you've got to really write for other people, but you can't do that unless you get songs out there yourself first of all, so they can hear it. So we just need to get music out there. But this one, the quality was so great, so I just released it as a single. Just do it ourselves as a single.
Yeah, it wasn't intentionally supposed to be a demo, just to see how it would come out, just with a different voice in it. The result was far better than anything we could even get close to, just recording it ourselves, just on with our own little studio here, and especially with Laura's vocal, it just made the song sound amazing. I know it would have been ridiculous not to put it out there. It's pretty much 50-50, the songwriting. Like for this one, Lewis had written all the music, and then I put forward the words to it. The majority of it tends to work like that. Lewis will write the music and I'll do the words, and then other times I'll have a song and then he'll put his spin. The good thing about that is you might have an idea in your head when you're writing the song, but then when you hear someone else's perspective on the music, it's like, I actually wasn't thinking of that, and it works out better.
We do interfere in each other's songs quite a lot, so it's like one person will write like a good chunk of a song, and then the other person will come in, and like David's very good at lyrics. David's really, really good at lyrics, so I'll kind of like write lyrics where it's a bit repetitive, and then like I'm good at writing music, David's really good at lyrics, so when I try to write lyrics, David will come in and sort of come up with some better lyrics here and there. And sometimes like David will write a song and I'll come in and add like an intro or a middle section, something like that into it. So we forget who writes what half the time. We're just interfering in each other's songs.
There's still
mostly it's like I do the music and David does all the words and the melody.
Yeah, there's still one of the early songs in Lurbos. We still don't know who wrote the music and who wrote the lyrics, because it was so long ago. I can't remember anymore. But that's how it started. Like Lewis would send me tapes when I was living in England at the time, and Lewis would send me tapes, and I'd hear the song and I'd get an idea in my head. So next time I was back home on the Isle of Lewis, then I'd just say, well, I've you know that song that you sent on the tape, I've got an idea. And they started turning out really well, and says, I think we're onto something here. So we carried on sort of like writing in that format, so where it's like working on each other's songs. It just seemed to work for us, and it just seemed to be a formula that worked.
And we like each other's songs, Sometimes David will write completely on his own. Sometimes I write completely on our own, and we're always like competing, trying to write better songs, so it's good.
Healthy rivalry.
Yeah. I think where you're from is ultimately going to form your music in some way. It's like the atmosphere, like we grew up, and you've probably been, I don't know if you've been to Lurbos, but it's like a really quiet village. No, we only got our first shop 20 years ago. There's never been a pub, you know what I mean? It's just sheep and cows and grass, and that's it, really. So it's a very, very sort of tranquil place to grow up, you know what I mean? There's very little traffic. It was just very, very, very tranquil, sort of quiet, peaceful place to grow up, and that kind of atmosphere is going to come in your music in some way as well, and anywhere you're growing up is going to inform your music in some way. So that kind of inspired it to a degree.
I think living on any island, it's definitely going to shape how your outlook is on life, and you tend to be more relaxed people as well. You don't have the stresses of living in big cities. I'm sure people who live in somewhere like New York, their lives must be just hectic all the time.
Crazy.
When you're living on an island, and the most stressful thing is getting sand out of your shoes of the day at the beach. It's
Everyone just very, very chilled, very relaxed, all good.
And it's a very musical place as well, the Isle of Lewis. No matter you go to a ceilidh round someone's house, there's always someone with an accordion or a guitar or a fiddle. It's just part of your life and your upbringing. Just to be around musicians and have that.
We love talking about it. We love talking about music and writing and stuff like that. It's just something we're really, really upset. We've always done it. It's something we've always done. Just writing, and it was just something like from the very beginning. Like as soon as we were hearing music, we wanted to write stuff. You know, as I say, I mean, we were writing lyrics like before we were even 10. Really, really bad lyrics. You know, but it was just seemed the natural thing to do, just to write. So it's something we just do all the time, and then we just gradually get better. You find what works, you find what doesn't work, and then you just work all your arrangements into songs that way.
The good thing I like about songwriting is you can do it anywhere. You don't need to be with a guitar. Most of the lyrics that I've written on my songs have just been walking around Glasgow, and then just an idea comes into your head and you just start humming it to yourself, and then by the time you get home, then you just pick up the guitar, and then you're just trying to put into practice what you've been coming up with. So you don't even need to be a good musician to be a good songwriter. It's just as long as you can get your ideas, and even if you get someone else to play them for you, okay, it's easy. Especially when you're lyric writing, sometimes you're just inspired just by just going out and just having a walk one day and coming back, and you've already got at least a couple of lines anyway that you can put down to your latest idea.
And so to let everyone know, the song that's come out, it's by Danica. It's called Frozen in Time. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon. So any streaming service it's available on. If you don't use subscription streaming services, it's on something called Amazing Radio, which is free. You can just go on Amazing Radio on the internet, and the song's listed on there.
You took me to the places I'd have never known if you weren't by my side. Taking me to heaven where there's nothing to slow me down, nothing that can wait a while. Tell me if you can, what difference does it make? All that's there for us is to take. Tell me now if all that's been and gone for us, will our spirits ever break? Carry me in your soul, take me home towards your goal. Don't leave me, all this life frozen in time. Show me all the pictures you've got from your life. In my head they will remain. if you weren't by my side. Taking me to heaven when there's nothing to slow me down, nothing that can wait a while. Tell me if you can, what difference does it make? All that's there for us is to take. Tell me now if all that's been and gone for us, will our spirits ever break? Can